you want to say it's a lower vibrational, but it's a very real thing, and you've been there.
Yeah.
And I know that you have skills to help people who are there because you've been there. But what is your message to somebody who just said, "Why would I even think of doing something like this?"
Yeah, I hear you. You know, I don't I don't believe that there's lack of hope ever. I have a very strong belief in that. Yeah, and I know that even when in those moments where I'm like nothing else is possible, then something comes up. So I think that it is a very, as you were saying, a low vibration that can cling on to
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
And it's hard to see alternatives when,
yeah.
maybe you've been beaten down for some times. So it's
Right.
totally understandable. And I think as you started talking about hopelessness, the first thing that came to me is gratitude. And I know somebody might feel like I want to throw a shoe at the screen, but it's actually the, low, like no cost kind of step that anyone can take, because it's really like taking a brick out of that wall that you have built around you.
How can you overcome self-doubts and transform your struggles for clarity into clarity itself? Will you embrace the courage needed to live in alignment with your soul's purpose? And are you willing to see if the clarity in your life will improve when you focus on your soul's purpose? Hello and welcome to Angelscapes, and I'm your host, Nancy Smith, your guide to living a soul-powered life. You are invited to join my Facebook group, Soul Powered Living, where we can continue discussions that we started on these podcasts. So joining me in this episode is Elisa Palma Hancock. We're like twin flames. We're like soul sisters. And we're going to talk about living your life as soul and light led as opposed to obligation led. What will it take to recognize your own light? What does it take? How did you, Elisa, recognize your own light and live in alignment? So we're going to find some inspiration in this interview to take life-changing steps towards your own brilliance, talking to the audience. But Eliza is an evidential medium, an Akashic Records teacher, and a spiritual coach. That's why we're so aligned with each other. And
Yes.
it's an artist. She's an artist. I do visual arts, and she does poetry and expressive actress and things. She's a native Italian, and she trained with international teachers and healers, and she's dedicated to guiding kindred souls who are ready to embrace their gifts. And we'll talk about you as we move along, but I am so excited to have you here. Thank you so much. You've been doing
Thank
a
you.
lot of moving around since we first talked, but
Yes, indeed.
you're a courageous soul. Um, but so tell
Or
me,
crazy.
yeah.
One of the two.
So living our lives as soul led, as light led, meaning our own inner light. You came to it through when you were around 33 or something like that. You had a soul awakening, and I'd like to hear more about your soul awakening from the dark night of your soul. But what
Mhm.
brought you to live that light, and what keeps you living that light? Do you know what I mean? So where did it start? Where did you start?
Whoa. Well, I have to say, like I was aware of a lot of things since I was very, very young. That is
Okay.
basically when everything started. But then I think, like a lot of us, I spent a good amount of my time kind of like not ignoring really, but just kind of like pretending it wasn't there.
Right.
That awareness that kind of like, yes, okay. And I, would definitely use it for helping others or my friends or whoever. But I did not see it for what it was, in a sense.
Okay.
So, then I pursued my interest in art. So I did a lot of theater and, all the while I was trying to figure out what's my place really, because that was my leading
Okay.
question
Yeah. Yeah.
at
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
point. Until eventually everything that I had built kind of came apart on its own, I want to say.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was very, very painful in a sense, because like you build things and you think that you're on the right path. You think that of course everything I was doing, I was really loving, I was really liking. I was teaching kids, I was playing in a couple of bands, I was doing theater. So for me that was really my life. But at one point, if I am honest, I do remember that I had a sense of kind of like there is something missing. And a friend of mine that is not in body anymore, and she was a medium as well, she told me, well, your soul is trying to tell you something. And from there, it took me maybe that year of pivoting where I had, a very strong realization that I was not on the right path, that something missing was first my healing, my own personal healing, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
really recognizing like that the spiritual part of life had always been with me and had always guided me, and also was trying to have me change direction, like kind of like embrace who I am in
Yeah. Yeah.
full, you know. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's been a journey, meaning that it took some time.
Well, yeah, I absolutely take some time, and I like that you said you're self healing. I have talked to people who are like, "What is my?" Especially if they want an Akashic reading, and they say, well, "What's my life path? What am I meant to do?" And we need to take a look at where they are first and
Yes.
what they've come through, and to be on your path first starts with inner healing, whatever that means for you.
Mhm.
It could be just a whole lot of different things. What do you think were the for you inner healing? What was the biggest healing aspect? Just
Um,
relationships or childhood or
Trauma. My childhood trauma, yes, definitely. That was definitely the bigger part. And I think I got, like right after the dark night of the soul, that was a very, very intense moment, albeit short but intense. I got lucky and I found a healer on my path. He was the first one who basically really helped me see, right, that there were some themes in my life that needed to be, looked
yeah,
at,
yeah,
really.
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
like healing is, it can take time, but it isn't complicated if we are willing to face the pain, if we're willing to
Yeah,
face
face the pain.
whatever it is, right?
Right, right, right,
It,
right. Yeah, yeah, and I like that you said if you found somebody on your path who's a healer. That's
yes.
huge because a lot of
Yeah,
times we don't find the right person, or we find somebody, but we don't know what to do about that, and we walk away from that person. But we do
right.
need people who work who are healers who know what they're doing and have we vibe with them. We're connected in a
Absolutely.
it's like almost you can recognize that person. You recognize what they're saying to you. So what keeps you
Yes.
on your light path? How did you had the dark night of the soul. We all have to make a living. We all have to figure out what we're gonna do with our talents. And here everything
Yeah.
was taken off your table like the tower card in tarot.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
much.
sometimes you can go down a road of woe is me and I can't move forward, but you chose something different. What brought you to those choices and how did you stick to it?
Yes, as I said, like that healer, but also my own realization before I met that healer that I was really the one who needed to be in charge.
Okay.
And so
I can relate to that. I
right,
have to be in charge all the time too. Yeah.
yes, and it's, like as you were saying before, it's so, like the healing is there, the healers are there, and for sure you have to resonate, right, with the person or the people that you pick, but it's also like everything is on you in the end, right? Like how
Yeah, it's
willing
up to you. Yeah.
you are to go deep and dig and, go as far as it's needed. And I think that I don't know. It's probably a combination between my soul pulling me and my desire to, see it through and see, so what's next, right? What is this taking me? Um, and sometimes you really just have to kind of like move ahead, even if you don't know what's
Yeah.
ahead, and
Yeah.
just kind of really trusting your soul. And I think that shift happens probably for everybody little by little, So one thing that I am really big on is like to not get discouraged, because it's so easy, especially in the beginning of a healing journey. You kind of feel like nothing is changing, nothing is happening. The thing is that it's happening so deep within that
Yeah.
before you begin to see the changes outside, it's going to take some time. So you have to trust that, your soul is leading you in the right place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes I tell people, don't, you're, I know you feel that there's a lot of changes going on. Don't change your outer world right now. Work with the
Mhm.
inner world. Just,
Right,
and then the
absolutely.
inner world, which is your healing, that is about reconnecting to your soul. To me, that's what healing is, and understanding who you are. Then you make the changes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. So that, to your point, leading with the light that's what it means to me. It took me some time to recognize, oh, this is the,
Yeah.
how can I say, this is the heavy me, the lower me, the me that has been influenced negatively by all
Yeah.
the trauma and the negative experiences. And here there's also the light me, the one that, is trying to teach me that I'm on a path and everything is happening because I'm learning and overcoming, issues and learning my lessons. And as you begin to realize that it's all you, but there is also a light you, and that is there to support you and to
Yeah.
guide.
So there's the you, and then there's the light you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like lower self and higher self, right? It is.
Right. Yeah.
And it takes, because you can maybe understand it conceptually, it's very easy to kind of say, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense, but like it's in the day-to-day experience that it becomes
Yeah.
true. At
Right.
least that's my
Well, talk
that
about that. Yeah,
experience.
that day-to-day experience. What does that look like? Because other people are saying, I'm waiting for the herald to come. I'm waiting for the angel to blow the horn. It's like, no.
Right?
So
No,
let's talk about what does that day-to-day look like? That change.
yeah. Oh, I think that the it's been a long time coming, but finally I now know that the practices that I have put in place, and they don't need to be that big. And I think everybody really have to work with what they are a natural at.
Mm-hmm.
But that connecting daily with your own self, with your awareness, with noticing, with what happened today, what was important, what messages did I receive. For me, that is probably the most important part. If I had to say to anybody, for sure, I would always say journal. I am big
Yeah.
on pen and
Yeah.
paper, like all the way. And that is such a simple tool just to stay
Yeah.
connected with your emotions, with, the things you notice in your life, but
Right.
also the messages that your intuition is giving you. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to be a yogi. You don't have to meditate for 15 hours a day.
True.
It's finding something that can
Yeah.
sneak easily into your daily life and that, maybe resonates with you
Oh
naturally.
yeah. 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 Something. Daily life meditation. Does it
Yeah.
help you keep you on your track there?
Yeah.
Would there's so many different kinds of meditations. There's sitting quietly, there's meditating on a problem, or just thinking about,
Mhm.
and then there's uh, a guided meditations. I feel like what are your favorite? What is your favorite way to meditate? You've got a
Um,
thousand things in your mind and you're so worried now you want to meditate. I
yeah.
don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have created my own practice and it took me several years. I have, but mostly I want to say I probably meditate sitting down. I do sometimes walking meditations, but I
Okay.
get distracted too easily. But,
Mhm.
sitting meditation, I usually guide myself. And I think once again, it's important that anyone tries it, but not with the idea of, oh, the result is not to think about anything. That is not what it is about at all, in my opinion. You
Yeah.
know, the the,
Good.
the goal is to be present and to notice and to, just feel that you are there, feel your
Right.
energy in your body
Yeah. Yeah.
substantially. So it can be, like even if I do 15 minutes normally, 5 minutes if I don't have a lot of time. But this is what I'm going for. And I know that, when I reconnected back with my mediumship, for example, that also helped me a lot because I realized probably connecting more with the spirit world in a different way than guides and angels, right? You know that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the departed, they kind of like bring a bit of a different understanding, right? Of being
Oh,
on the
they
other
do.
side,
Yeah.
being on this side. And
Yeah.
so, like the meditation, the understanding that, I really am a soul that will just transition into a different, realm. I think that also that it really helps in feeling that light and knowing that light and wanting to, be
Yeah.
led by that light in the end.
Right. Right. So how can you recognize in your life, and I bet it was really hard at the very beginning because it was for me, that this is the light and you're being led for light. This is fear. This is not taking you anywhere good.
Yeah.
How did you recognize the difference and know which one to follow?
Right. Yeah. Oh, such a good question. I think for me, a lot has helped when I started paying attention to the tone, because we have a lot of different voices in our head, like now, not to sound weird, but just like, sometimes there's criticism, sometimes
Oh
there
my God, yeah.
the quick intuition, but there is also a lot of that fearful thinking, right? And that I feel people might be misled by, oh, I thought this thing, and so maybe now I should not do what I was about to do. But
Yeah.
because of the in the end, fear might be a protector or is a protector in a sense, but it also a blocker. It's also a blocker. So if you begin to kind of if you can tell, the tone of the fear from the tone of like an insight, I think
Yeah.
that is a very good place to start with.
Okay. Okay. Beautiful. A lot of people don't trust their intuition. Um,
I know.
a- and yeah, and that's again, it's the tone.
Mhm.
And we get information in so many different ways.
Yes,
And I feel like I talk a lot about the five languages of your soul, meaning the intuition that you're very gently creating to believe yourself, and then once you trust the intuition, now you have a connection to your soul and you have a relationship with your
absolutely.
soul, and
Yeah.
you got the give and take, and you can say back to your soul, "Are you kidding me? Do you know how hard this is?" And your soul said, "Let me take a look at that." And then other times the soul said, "You don't have to do that anymore. It's okay if you leave that be." The getting to the point of having that conversation back and forth.
Yes.
What did it take to get you there, and what keeping you there? Does it take to keep you there?
Yes, yes. I think, like a lot of that discernment that I was
Yeah.
telling you about. So really like being mindful of the tone, the feeling that maybe
Mhm.
a thought would come in to help me say, okay, this is definitely not my intuition talking. This
Yeah.
is fear or this is
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
self-judgment. It just takes a lot. I think that's what helped me is just like paying a lot of attention
Paying
to
a lot
what's
of attention. Yeah.
to what was going
Observing.
on with
I
things.
think that's where the journal comes in. Just like what
Mm,
happened today, what worked, what didn't work, what did my intuition sound like today? We have an
yeah,
inner fear and we have an inner wise guy, I call it, that has nothing to do with wisdom. And it can sound like your intuition 100%. And you're like,
but it's not, yeah, because you can
yeah,
tell sometimes those kind of thoughts make your energy contract, as opposed to, when it's a really an intuition,
yeah,
you feel a sense of expansion,
expansion.
sense
Yeah,
of possibility, or at least this is how I
yeah,
recognize it, right?
yeah. Beautiful. I love that. Contraction and expansion. If the thought
Mhm.
helps you expand, it's in alignment. If the
Yeah.
thought's bringing you've disconnected from that higher power. I always say to my clients, your soul always knows what to do. Let's get to your soul. Let's get to
Mhm.
what your soul wants you to know right now. And it's funny reactions like, but I want to know it now. I said, well, I want to have it
Well,
now. what is it saying? It's like, what does my soul say? And I just said, I just told you, I find you need, my clients need to experience what their soul, the energy of their soul and what their soul's giving to them. I can give them a ton of information, but that connection to the soul, I feel like that's half the work of working with my clients. And I know you do coaching and you have a lot of clients that you work with. Do you see yourself reflected in them or do they see, you know what I mean? It's like, come on, honey.
Yes, a lot of the work I do is really to also help them get back in tune with, the wisdom that it's already there. And I totally understand because, when we are very involved in something, that, like, I'm sure any other person that does something similar to what we do,
Mhm.
like in that moment when maybe you feel pressure, it's a little harder to know and understand your intuition. So sometimes, that's when you go to the reader, you go to the medium, like, because you need that support from the outside. But nonetheless, the connection with your soul, it's just that life gets better. So,
Yeah,
you know,
I know.
if
Yeah.
you're willing to put in the work, you're definitely, bringing home something amazing, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That recognition. It's the flow. I was trying to explain flow to somebody, that recognition of what kind of flow are you in? And when you're in the flow, the soul flow, like you said, expansion, where you're in the fear flow, not so much. But
Not so.
finding the flow to me has been the challenge of staying in the light, finding spirit flow, finding the chi flow, the energy flow. Um, and that, what do you think about that idea? I mean, finding, because we're in the flow of God, the source, we're in the flow of soul. Good, we create good things, or we find the things that we've been overlooking.
Yes.
So how do you get there?
I think there is no shortcut. This is my thought, really. And I think it's different for everybody because not everyone has a lot of layers of trauma. I think that trauma is what really fogs the connection with our soul.
Mhm.
But, not everybody has a lot of it. And so for some people might be
Yeah,
faster if they are willing to put in
yeah,
the work of.
yeah, yeah,
It's kind of like really shifting a lot of things, like shifting, like the blaming, for example,
yeah.
and bringing responsibility and so
Yeah.
power back to yourself.
So, yeah, exactly, exactly. You were talking about bringing it back to yourself so you can respond to it. Is I feel that that's kind of hard, it's kind of tricky because I got a lot of interruptions. I've got a lot of things that I'm worried about, like we all do,
Yes,
and
yes.
trauma. Not people have different ranges of trauma. And
Mhm.
I was thinking about this was brought to my attention a while back that as I heal people with trauma, or we go underneath the trauma, what's underneath that? Okay, now what's underneath that? And we're going to heal what's underneath the root of everything that when they let me go that deep with them is I'm abandoned, I'm alone. And why are you abandoned and alone? Because I was once happy and now I'm not. And it's being born out of the realm of spirit into the realm of human. That
Mhm.
is in itself kind of traumatic.
Yes, absolutely. I agree so much. I think that is kind of like just the first situation that creates a sense of being cut off, being
Yeah.
apart, being separated. And it's not just, again, something,
Right.
you can explain it intellectually, but eventually, you will get a sense of what that means from a soul perspective. And these are all such important themes. And, you
Oh,
know,
yeah. Yeah.
it takes some time because there are so many things to think
Yeah.
about and many layers maybe to address as well. But it's possible if we've done it. Anybody else,
It's like,
right?
yeah, the reconnection to source is so healing. It's so um, inspiring, and
Yeah.
you get a lot of courage when you have that reconnection back to your soul, because your soul's it's going to revalidate, reinforce you're loved, you're cared for, and
Yes,
and
exactly.
you're not abandoned. You feel this way. However, the work that you're going to do is you're going to realize that that's not the truth at all. You're
Mhm.
not abandoned. And I
No.
feel like as we move into a spiritual path, that's probably the first thing. And I don't know what you think the first thing is that we need to do is reconnect with source. If you want to be in what is my soul path? Reconnect to the
Mhm.
source.
Yeah, to your
Yeah,
truth, to, you know, the
yeah,
way that you feel,
yeah,
any, how can I say, any sense of life that goes beyond the day to day, that goes beyond the,
yeah,
wake up, go to work, come home. And I think,
yeah,
especially these days, I think that every one of us should take, their responsibility in connecting with the lights again. It doesn't matter whatever
yeah,
your, work is, you don't
yeah.
have to be a medium or anything, because we definitely need it. We need it so much.
Yeah. We do, we do. It brings truth. It brings reconnection. Finally, I'm okay now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And you can look
yeah.
at, I think you can look at struggles also from a different perspective. They don't define you anymore in a sense.
That's
So
true. So, how did you find your way to the Akashic records? I've been wanting. You talked about tarot readings, I Ching, and philosophy, Reiki, Bach flower, angel, and
yeah,
spirit guides.
it's like
All my world, my whole world. But how the Akashic records? I'm really
yeah,
curious.
that was so interesting, honestly, because that was a little over 10 years ago, 11 years ago. I don't know why or how I received an email. Oh, probably that was somebody forwarded me an email from this teacher who was starting or teaching the first level of the Akashic records. I I swear, am I frozen? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, now
Am I
you're
frozen?
good now. Yeah, you're back. Yeah,
Okay.
welcome to Mercury retrograde. You're back now. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So basically, I don't know how, like I was reading that email, I don't remember how I signed up for a course, but I did. Because like I received a second email saying, "Oh, you're signed up for a course." And I was like, how did I do that? I
What?
don't remember doing it. And I was like, all right, well, I'm curious now, let's just do it. And the first class, where the teacher explained a few things and then she had us access the records. And I was like, wait a second, I know this. Like I
Wow.
feel like I've done it, but I didn't know what I was doing. And that
Yeah.
was, probably I was already close to my 40s, I want to say,
Right.
at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And then from there, I did study, I did develop my own course as well. I had experiences, and a lot of how can I say, a lot of things opened up,
Beautiful.
as you know
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. It was
But that
once.
was kind of
Yeah. My
fully guided, I
yeah.
want to say. That's
Oh,
how I
I
got.
know. I think when I found the Akashic records, I was studying mediumship, and I want to. This is leading up to a question that I really want to get your feel for it. So studying mediumship, and how I got into mediumship was it's kind of an accident because I was looking for somebody to explain to me the strong intuitive hits I was getting about really big things,
Mhm.
and there would be movies playing in front of me. So anyway, I tried to, this went to here and here, and then ended up studying mediumship. And which I'm like, why? Who am I talking to, and why? And what are they telling me? My question is going to be leading up to the information that you get from the media, from the loved ones, and the guides, and the Akashic records. The difference of it. So I jumped on this opportunity to study with somebody for the Akashic records, beginner level, and it fell into place of what
Mhm.
of the organizational principles of source, because the Akashic is source to me. I go to source, and I was no longer opening up to loved ones in spirit. I was opening up to source, and then the loved ones in spirit would come through, as well as the guides, as well as my soul. So I
Mhm.
feel like
Yeah.
I was opening up a little window with mediumship, but with Akashic records I was opening up the big door. And
Yeah.
so could you, what is your sense of that?
It's interesting. Yeah, I, you know, first of all, can you really draw a line, right? And say, oh,
Yeah.
like here we're just talking to this and that. That has never been my experience. I remember before I decided to like develop mediumship, because before it was kind of accidental, so to speak. I didn't really pay much attention to it, but it would happen organically.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
through the Akashic records, though, many times I had loved ones pop up or pop in and say, oh, I have something to
Yeah.
tell my person here.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was absolutely normal. And then, of course, I was like, well, it's not that there's a door and you're like, okay, so, here we have just this, here we have just that. How do you do that? Like,
Yeah.
I think that guides
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and loved ones. And of course, maybe there's like more refinement as the further you go, but in the end, they're probably in there together. This
I
is
think
my take
so.
on that.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like there's a progression if in a mediumship, if I'm reading for somebody repeatedly and they want, and I've been bringing their mother through more than once, I can feel a progression within the mother spirit that
Mhm.
she's learning, she's growing,
Oh
her
yeah.
interests she's saying different things. But I also sometimes, people come to me and they want to know about their lives, but they don't really want to know it through their mother's eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
They
That
want
is that is different, right? Like at that point, well, you're just the mean of communication in a sense.
your medium. Yeah, yeah,
Right. And what can you do? Sometimes, if the person doesn't want to hear from such and such,
yeah,
the message
yeah,
might just
yeah,
stay there and eventually be delivered.
yeah.
But that makes sense because it's like, I wanna know about myself from my own higher self,
Yeah,
right? As opposed to
exactly,
what my mom
exactly.
thinks of me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. I enjoy. I feel like when I go into the Akashic realm, the Akashic records, there's a lot of healing that's there. So if I'm working with a client with healing, it's a beautiful, powerful, transformative energy. And when I'm going there for information to help them, and that's all healing of intellectual, that they just need to know something or
Mhm.
have a connection. When
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a medium the whole time. I feel like it's coming through me.
That's
I'm
what's happening.
delivering.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And I don't understand people that really kind of draw a line, like if it's this, it cannot be that. But I think that, if it's channeling information
yes,
in a
it is.
way, right? And then for sure, everyone has maybe their strength in some aspects and less in others. This is
Right.
why we're all completing each other, and so each one of us has something different to offer.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Well, that which leads you to um, not going to just one medium, or if you're studying the mediumship or you're studying spiritual practices for
Yes.
communication, to not stop at one place, to keep moving,
Yes, exactly.
keep
Yeah, I agree
studying.
with that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
certainly find somebody that feels right to you because I've heard some very, very sad experiences of teacher being very negative and off-putting. And it's like it's hard to develop if you don't feel the trust of your teacher. So I think that it's so important to know that you relate humanly with the person, like you relate well humanly with the person.
exactly. Yeah, because it's all different energies, all different personalities, all different. Again, we're coming from perspectives, each person has their limited perspective.
Yeah.
Um, and I hate saying it like that, but you've got your personality, you've got your life experience, you've got where your talents are, what your capability are. And I always talk about that. You have the talent, but where's your capacity? How far can you take this? In some take it's just there's as many directions as there are people in terms of
Oh yeah,
readers and in terms of doing your own metaphysical studies. But
absolutely.
but
Yes.
again, it goes back to every single time. I think it goes back to that. What's that connection within you to your own light and your own soul? It always goes back to that, don't you think?
Yep. Yep.
And
Without that, I don't think that there can be uh, I don't know, maybe the strongest development or the best options, right?
Right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. So same path goes this kind of the same direction, but there's different individual aspects to it. Because I
Mhm.
feel like our soul is trying to experience something um, that's unique to our soul. So we're not all matched up. We're all different because our soul is trying to experience a specific thing and drilling down to a specific focus. And so if you put everything into the bucket, you'll lose the focus. I don't know if that makes any sense. If you're learning about relationships or you're learning about trust, you're learning whatever your soul is wanting to learn and experience, that's where your life kind of goes, is my
Yeah.
sense.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And then, of course, you know, like when you say relationship, for example, that, you know, it only makes sense that then the people that we have relationships with, or like the tighter, maybe stronger relationship, there are there to, you know, help us see something, learn something about
Yeah, yeah,
ourselves.
yeah,
And so are we for them. So we are in that experience together for sure,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think what are some of the different things that I find that different souls, I go into the Akashic records for different people, their soul is really struggling with learning to have a voice in the middle of lots of other voices, or I need to understand grief. And
Mm.
so I think the person is going through this grief, and I think your soul's really wanting to understand what is the human experience of grief and the loss, and where do you go? How do you heal from that? So another soul is I want to have the experience of unconditional love. So you get a lot of people in your life that they're not very loving. So there's
Yeah,
so many themes out there. Not to, I want to say
true.
don't take it personal, but how can people get a hold of you? I'm just jumping into just talking about you.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
have Elisa
Elisa,
Palma,
yeah.
Elisa Palma
Yeah,
Hancock.com. And
yeah.
you can email Elisa at elisapalmahancock.com as
And
well. And
Facebook,
Facebook is the same name. I got a hold of you on Facebook with that same your name, like that.
yes. Yeah. And then, well, because before we were talking about intuition, so I also have like a little gift for anybody who might be interested. Maybe I'll send you the link. I think I forgot to do that. It's like a very simple workbook to help you kind of like um, take the first steps to reconnect with your intuition. So it's a little, you know, like simple daily steps. So
And where
if
can people find that? Will that be on your website?
it should be on my website, I'm thinking, because I was working on it just the other day, and I am not sure that I connected on the main page. So I will send you a link if you be so gracious
Yeah.
to share it, maybe in the
Put it in the show
live.
notes. Yeah, put it in the
Okay,
show notes. And so that
okay,
when everyone's listening, all this information that we're talking about right now, how to contact you, and then this freebie will be in the show notes. So I'll just kind of
okay,
hold off
perfect.
just a little bit so you can send it to me. And then um, how do you with coaching? I'm curious. You do the mediumship readings, and we kind of know you're connecting to people, improving the continuity of life, and
Mhm.
bringing messages from loved ones. And but I want to know about the coaching. What do you, when somebody comes to you, where do you start with them?
Good question. I do tend to attract people who are trying really to find either their mission or hone, you know, understand their gifts. So normally I kind of start there. And I call it spiritual coaching because for me, it's kind of impossible really to separate, you know, a spiritual overview on somebody's life. So I know that the people that would come to me for that need to be open to not just think in terms of, you know, one, two,
Okay.
three, you do this and then you get that, but also in terms of, you know, what are you creating with your beliefs? You know, where is your soul, or what are the signs that are in front of you, and have you been ignoring out of fear or out of, you know, lack of self-belief or whatever that is. So, and I do work with different I call it tools at the same time. So, I definitely bring in my intuition. I definitely bring in messages whenever they come through for a person. I do work also, through the Akashic records, but like the coaching per se also is something that I have developed and worked with for a long time now, as much as the Akashic records, I want to say, 11 plus years. So I think that it can be very, very helpful when combined also with that deeper understanding. So then you use it to kind of tie everything into a practical light. So, like the actions that you need to take and things of
I
this
love
sort.
that practical light.
Mhm.
That's be-
For me, it's so important. I've always taken everything back to,
yeah,
so what's the practicality, right? What do you
right.
walk away with? What you're gonna do, not just think or imagine, because
Yeah.
that's not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. So it sounds like working with you would be a really good idea. In the coaching, is it one or two sessions? Is it a whole series of sessions or
I have actually a program. So, and it's called
okay.
Soul Purpose Alchemy. And in that program, it's like a 3 months program where like we work in depth, looking at gifts, looking at, the origin of the soul of the person, looking at whatever gets in the way of her or his realization, and, what needs to happen to overcome those obstacles in the end.
Okay. It's
Mhm.
beautiful. So 3-month program. That sounds,
Yeah.
let's sign up.
Yeah, let's.
And you also do individual sessions with people as well.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Like the program.
I try to, go with whatever people have available in matter of time and money these days, honestly, because I
Yeah. Yeah.
think that it's important to bridge this gap
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
much as possible.
I hear you. I have programs as well, and I revamped a couple of them so it can meet people where they are. Um,
Yeah.
and that is the sign of the times, I suppose. People are doing smaller chunks, and
Mm,
smaller, and I hopefully that'll change at some point.
right. Yes.
Sometimes you do small chunk, small chunk, small chunk, and then you do the big one, which is
Exactly. Yes. I mean, because every step you take really is going to bring you a little further. So,
yeah,
you know, whatever is a person is ready for, I would
yeah,
say do it.
do it.
Mm-mm.
Um, I want to go back and ask you a question.
Yeah.
Hopelessness. I don't where a client or some person is there's nothing left here. There's nothing left for me.
Mm.
They have a hard time seeing that God is there for them, or that there will be some gifts for them, or that why reach out because it's hopeless. Or and I this it's a you want to say it's a lower vibrational, but it's a very real thing, and you've been there.
Yeah.
And I know that you have skills to help people who are there because you've been there. But what is your message to somebody who just said, "Why would I even think of doing something like this?"
Yeah, I hear you. You know, I don't, um, I don't believe that there's lack of hope ever. I have a very strong belief in that. Yeah, and I know that even when in those moments where I'm like, nothing else is possible, then something comes up. So, I think that it is a very, as you were saying, a low vibration that can cling on to
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
And it's hard to see alternatives when,
yeah.
maybe you've been beaten down for some times. So it's
Right.
totally understandable. And I think as you started talking about, hopelessness, the first thing that came to me is gratitude. And I know somebody might feel like I want to throw a shoe at the screen, but it's actually the, low, like no cost um, kind of step that anyone can take, um, because it's really like taking a brick out of that wall that you have built around you.
Okay. Is one brick at a time of
Through
gratitude.
gratitude, yes, because it's just like, and I know that for myself, those moments where I'm like, oh gosh, that's what I go back to. And
Yeah.
I haven't invented anything. There are plenty teachers out there that have been speaking about gratitude for forever. And I want to say, if you're in a low state and you think that nothing else is possible, start from the gratitude, even if you have to force yourself to write one thing down and then the next day two things down, because it's like the more that you get in touch with that, as you were saying, it's a vibration, right? Like
It's
it,
a
and as
vibration.
you attune to gratitude, it will lift you up. So this is my message. It's,
It's a gratitude. And it can be
you know,
small things. Is that, and
oh yeah, you can be grateful that you have, I don't know, you have your cat that smiled
yeah.
at you today, or you have, you have something nice for dinner, or, like somebody sent you a message to check in with you. It doesn't have to be anything, actually. The smaller the better, in my opinion.
Yeah. Because life is built on these small,
Yeah.
beautiful things. And our pathways are built with small things. Now, I wanted to ask you about Italy. Like you moved back to Italy. Are
Yeah.
you excited to be back home? Because you grew up in Italy, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I moved to the US only not long ago. So, I had a very good experience. I've met a lot of wonderful people, wonderful teachers. I have seen a lot of beautiful things. I have also understood definitely America way more than I ever would have if I, didn't move there. So it's definitely been, I'm just taking the good really of what I've learned and understood. And yeah, this Italy is my homeland. So there is definitely like a cultural difference in the way that we maybe approach, day-to-day life
Mm,
and uh, for the good and for the bad, I want to say,
yeah.
but it's
That's
always good
life.
to be
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is your culture fit into your spiritual path? Your spiritual path started in Italy and then you
Mhm.
moved to America and then you're back.
Yeah.
So your soul's got you all over the place.
I know, right? It's like I've always been very, very active. Like I've moved around
Yeah.
a lot, even in Italy.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I think it's an interesting question because definitely, this is a very strong Catholic place. And I didn't even know that you know, that there were like metaphysical churches, or that there were people teaching other people how to develop their spiritual
Right.
gifts. I had my grandmother, I was very
Yeah.
lucky, but
Like your grandmother. Yeah.
she as well didn't have probably words for what she was doing, because there is not, it's like if I compare like Italy and England, now that I know, what it offers in that sense, I'm like, oh wow, I bet I would have felt so much more at home, like,
Okay.
I have people that understand at least my experience a little better. Uh,
Okay.
so that definitely, but it never really stopped me because I
Okay.
think my family is all a little bit like me, and so we kind of like understand each other. So I never felt weird, at least in my own family.
Oh, that's
With,
wonderful. Because
yeah.
grandma set the tone. She paved the way. Even though you were Catholic, grandma was still doing her magic. And
Mhm,
it was
absolutely.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. We had I oldest of nine, strong Catholic, Abby. And so we were all, my mom led us through. My dad was not like, he was also kind of hesitant about the strong Catholic, but he followed my mom. Well, come to find out, my dad's family, um, and I wish that we had more. There was too much space between everybody, but his family, my grandmother, his mother, my grandmother's sisters were healers in New York City in the Hell's Kitchen. They came from the Black Forest of Germany as with midwives and healers. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I found that out when I was 10, but I never got to talk to her much. And, but three out of six of my sisters are on incredible spiritual healing paths, metaphysical paths, and I'm like, I guess spirit was big. The ancestors were talking to us the whole time.
Yes,
It was kind of
that's
wild.
what happens, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So your grandmother's just supposed to be talking to you all the time. It's
Oh,
like,
she is. She is. Sometimes she kind of presses me like she was an amazing cook. And sometimes she's like sending me, the smells or like the desire to cook something that she loved to do as well. And so, I end up cooking it because, she's my inspiration in
yeah.
many ways, not just for the
Oh,
kitchen.
I bet. So how, we'd always sort of told to hear your grandmother's talking to you, and you really believe that she's there. And on your website, you said finding faith in our own lives is the most authentic gift we can give ourselves. But I wanted to ask you about this faith because have faith, you have to have faith. Where's your faith as a Catholic? And I'm like, but
No,
when I moved to the concept of faith with spirit and that flow, it all changed. So
yeah.
for me, my faith is the word faith has a different meaning for me now. And talk to me about faith being, because you were raised Catholic and yet you had your what's
Well, yes. So this is where, my family, although raised in a Catholic country, but like I feel because we are all spiritual and we've
yeah,
always,
yeah,
had experiences, etc. There was never like this sort of like you have to draw a line ever. And for me
very
personally, I
nice.
know knowing myself that, for me was always about the connection with God, not with
Right? Yeah,
a
yeah,
church.
right.
you know uh, so this is, and I believe there's a difference in the end. Spirituality is different from religion. It's, you can be
Every time.
spiritual and
Yeah,
not go to church. It doesn't have anything to do with, like practicing in a specific way.
right. Yeah.
It's
So
really just
yeah. So
your
faith has
connection.
really turned from following rules to living your truth, or just being this love from God is for me. This
Yeah,
connection is
I
for
never really followed those rules, that's for sure. I mean, I think that the rule you follow is, for me at least, is like following your conscience.
there
So
you
if
go.
you're doing something that doesn't feel right, probably it isn't.
Is
And,
yeah,
I think Jesus spoke about the golden rule, right?
yeah,
And I think that that is probably the most important rule that one can follow in the end. So
yeah,
it was never about, oh, don't do this, don't do that because somebody told me. It was
yeah,
about
yeah,
to what
yeah,
felt right.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I love
Maybe
that.
it's a good moral compass. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
it's something like that.
I think I'm opening the door for people who are stuck in that bad faith cycle. I mean, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
your coaching would be amazing, bringing somebody from those belief systems that show them that they're not worthy to, oh, are you kidding me? You're
Yeah.
totally worthy.
Yeah. God, God loves everyone in the same way.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Well, and I think that helps. That shifting that concept around for me was the biggest in terms of staying in the light, staying in that connection to my own inner light and the connection to source. Shifting around my definition of faith was
Mhm.
a life
Yeah.
changer.
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's personal, right?
I,
It comes from your heart in the end. Yeah.
yeah, I can't. Spiritual practice is personal. It's
Yeah. Absolutely.
very personal.
Mhm.
Anything that you want to add to everything, to the conversation that we've been having, staying in the light, letting your life be led from your inner life?
Right. Yes. I don't know. The only thing I think, for those moments when you don't think it's possible for you, or like that it will it ever happen, or will I ever get out of these negative feelings or mindset or whatever. I think that it's important to remind everybody that yes, it is possible. It's
Okay.
and it can be done. It's
Yeah.
you know easier than it might seem, even. I don't know. um because we really need that high vibes
High
from
vibes.
from everybody, and you have to let go of the belief that you're a victim, because this is how humans have been dominated ages after ages. We're not victim. We can create differently.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like a journey, going through healing towards feeling that you are part of it already.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I
Thank
love
you.
that message. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Yeah. Well, we're coming to the end.
Like we're sisters here. Like
We totally are. This is awesome. I know. And I want to remind people that you could find Elisa.
Elisa, I know
I'm
everybody
killing
is.
me. Elisa, Elisa
Understood.
Palma. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Elisa Palma Hancock. You can see it on, if you're watching the show or if you're listening to the show, it's PalmaHancock.com. Look her up, look her site up, and try one of her free gifts. And sounds like I'm going to go give that a shot too, play with it, and
Thank you.
reach out to her. Everyone that I bring on this podcast is available to, you're in Italy now, but you're still available to Americans
Yes, I
anywhere.
work online, and I'm planning to travel anyway. So,
And it's clearly by in this podcast you can see how easy it is to talk to you. It's very comforting, and you're very good, compassionate, good listening. So I recommend try to check her out. And so for now, I want to thank everyone for listening to this
thank
episode,
you.
and then subscribe to my channel, like it, give
Indeed.
give some points there, and
Yeah.
and in the next episode, I before we talk again, I want to remind everybody to stay in the grace of your soul, to move towards soul power. All the things that are available to you are, even don't dismiss them, embrace them, and live that light in that you have. Let that light lead you. You're going to go to good places, satisfying places, and places of well-being. So for now, stay in grace, stay in love, stay in peace, and we'll see you the next time in the next episode. Thank you.
Yes, I love that. Stay in peace. Thanks so much, Nancy.
You're so welcome.
Are you feeling a disconnect in your life? I see it's time to make a direct connection to find your soul's power and wisdom. Join Nancy Smith to learn tools and steps you can take to create calm